So, can somebody tell me what the is this? And I'm not using no app. I am on County Road 2 in between State Avenue and K32. And I have never seen anything like that in my life. And it appears that little black stuff is falling down the center of it. That is just weird.
Today we're looking at creepy TikToks that will haunt your dreams, May 2025 edition.
So this is a thing. Looks like we finally get to see one of these alien flying orbs up close and personal. And apparently this thing has a message to Earth, and just wait until you see what it says.
Welcome back, guys. Thank you to all the channel members for support. Let's try to get to another 2,000 likes this video. And the creepiest part about these videos that keep me up all night is the fact that 60% of you guys are not subscribed, so make sure to smash that subscribe button. Let's go!
A bullet fired straight up really come back down to kill you? It rockets skyward over 1,200 feet per second, climbing 2,000 meters before gravity and wind drag it to a stop. Then it falls, hitting 200 feet per second. If the Earth's rotation or a gust of wind doesn't nudge it off course, that bullet's coming right back to where it started. The bullet would easily fracture his skull or potentially kill you.
So, can somebody tell me what the is this? And I'm not using no app. I am on County Road 2 in between State Avenue and K32. And I have never seen anything like that in my life. And it appears that little black stuff is falling down the center of it. That is just weird. And then just to let you all know, I'm not kidding here. This is real. Sorry, that's my phone doing that because it's a piece of crap Motorola. But just so you can see, it's me. And I'm live. And it's starting to dissipate. Look at that. Tell me that is not freaking weird. I have no idea. I've been recording it. It was a dark black circle and now it's dissipating. I mean, it looks like somebody blew a big old smoke ring.
It looks like it's smoke. My first thought back at a distance was, is it a congregation of birds?
Yeah, that's what I thought. But then, because it looked like everything was falling through the center, but now it's just like totally dissipating, but I ain't never seen nothing like that in my life. I had to pull over and record it. So, hey, just so everybody knows, I'm legit. Somebody pulled over and talked to me. I'm not talking to myself.
But when I first saw that video, I was like, dude, the aliens are here. But then this video kind of explains the whole situation.
A black ring in the Kansas sky has left many scratching their heads at the unusual and rare sight, but there was an explanation. Brendan Crew has more.
America's home to some strange and frightening weather conditions, but take a look at this. Spotted in Bonner Springs, Kansas, this rare smoke ring in the sky stopped many in their tracks. The bizarre smoke formation appeared in the sky, with witnesses saying they've never seen anything like it before. Meteorologists have since offered an explanation, saying it's a smoke ring and likely the result of some type of explosion, likening it to the formation of mushroom cloud, where rapidly rising air traps smoke in a ring-like formation.
So yeah, it actually came from probably fireworks, if I'm being honest, because it was Cinco de Mayo that day. So someone probably shot up some fireworks, you know, saying for the 5th of May. And that's what happened.
Let me tell y'all a true story, B. So boom, pay attention, watch this video to the end. So, do you know who this is in this statue right here? It's Satan, but it gets crazier. You ready for this? Now notice the chain on his foot. You see it, right? You see the chain on his foot? All right, you ready for this? I got you. 1 second. Now notice the chain on this foot. Y'all should know which foot this is. I shouldn't even have to say nothing. All right, guys, you ready? Stay with me, stay with me. I'm gonna show y'all something, B. Now, do you notice that the crown in his hands has 7 points on it, right? Stay with me, guys. Make sure you watch this video to the end. This is crazy. Now, do you see what's on the floor, right? An apple and the torch. You see the torch on the floor, right, guys? Stay with me, B. Stay with me. This is crazy. He's holding a torch, and there's a 7-point crown on his head. Remember the apple that was on the bottom of the statue of Satan? What do they call New York City? The Big Apple. Where is this statue at? New York City. What I'm trying to tell you is, the Statue of Liberty is Satan himself. Stop playing with me, son. Don't ever say I didn't teach y'all nothing. It's in plain sight. So, you got a statue of Satan right in New York City, and people been thinking it was a Statue of Liberty the whole time? Stop playing with me, son. So what I'm gonna do is go over there and knock that statue out, straight up and down. TikTok, this is just for entertainment purposes only. I'm just joking, right? Come on. I'm just playing around. This ain't real. This is all for fun jokes, and let's just laugh about it. Yeah? Ain't nothing funny.
Whistleblower and developer of OpenAI and ChatGPT has been found unalived in his San Francisco home. His name was Suchair Balaji. Yes, I said whistleblower. He was exposed in one of the world's most powerful AI companies. And now he's gone. But they ruled out any possibility of any foul play. They said he just committed suicide. Nobody ever find it crazy that it's always suicide or any other little weird way people pass away when they go against big companies like this? His family said he was never suicidal. So he raised concerns about the company's practices and ethics during his 4-year tenure with OpenAI. He alleged that OpenAI and ChatGPT violated copyright laws. He said they were using online data that included copyrighted material. So essentially, with all these findings and documents that he had on OpenAI and ChatGPT, he handed it over to people that was finna take this to federal court. And he was the head person that was going to speak in court on the situation. And then he ultimately committed suicide. So I don't know, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down below in the comments.
I mean, I don't want to speak like I know, but I doubt he committed. I feel like that's what they're going to do for Kanye West. Like if Kanye West just randomly one day just dies, I think they're going to either say an overdose or suicide.
Did you know that if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're just even a little bit sleep deprived, well, a whole laundry list of negative things start happening, but one in particular that I just heard about. And I'm not making this up. If you are not getting enough sleep, even in a small way, your brain starts eating itself. I said it. What do I mean? Basically, your brain, when it's well rested and you're like taking care of yourself, your brain naturally has a process of getting rid of like bad cells it doesn't need anymore. Like it does a cleanup job within itself, cleans itself, gets rid of things, toxins and like cells it doesn't need anymore. But if you're sleep deprived, it's going to start getting rid of the good cells, the ones that make you think smart, think good. Yeah, and as a lifelong nymphomaniac, I used the wrong word, insomniac? Let me start over. As a lifelong insomniac, that tracks. That makes a lot of sense to me. But I will say, historically, some of the most like intelligent and like creative people tend to be like very neurotic, and it's not for everybody, but like tend to be like neurotic and have maybe like irregular sleep schedules. And that makes me feel better about myself. All right.
So now you're telling me that a council known as the Galactic Federation has been monitoring our planet since the beginning. They apparently were going to make themselves known in 2027, but due to everything that's been going on Earth, they've moved it up to 2025. They are on their third level of presenting themselves. First, starting with the orbs last year, which a lot of people have seen. The second phase, their motherships, their modes of transportation, have been all around the entire world cloaked. multiple places that I've seen the videos. Now, once again, this is allegedly, but the third phase is the guy who was sleeping in the egg. The egg that the video that just came out recently, he was resting there. So he's basically their go-to guy. So there is apparently a council of 26, and there are the council of 5, which will be making their human presence known very soon to help us basically get through every bit of craziness that's been happening in our world right now. Now, obviously, anything I say is for entertainment.
So this is a thing. Looks like we finally get to see one of these alien flying orbs up close and personal. And apparently this thing has a message to Earth, and just wait until you see what it says. You know, when I first saw this thing, I thought Harry Potter was gonna come out of nowhere and catch it. So back in March, a resident of Boca, Colombia saw this metallic sphere maneuvering around in the air until it landed. It was basically tased by 2 metal sticks poking out of the ground, and then it crash landed. Don't ask me what those sticks were. The thing weighs 4.5 pounds, made vapor as soon as water touched it, and was unnaturally cold when it was found. So scientists decided to nuke the damn thing with x-rays and found out that it had 3 metallic layers on the outside. These x-rays also found 18 microspheres surrounding what is said to be an organic chip. It also didn't show any weld marks, which initially made people think that this isn't man-made. The wildest part is that this has ancient symbols surrounding the orb, and scientists used AI to decipher what the hell this thing says. The problem is, even with it translated to English, I still don't understand what it's saying. So according to AI, this nonsense right here says, the origin of birth through union and energy in the cycle of transformation, meeting point of unity, expansion, and consciousness. Individual consciousness. Huh? What are you trying to say to us, oh great golden snitch? The government went after this orb, and the person who found it refused to give it up. I don't know how he's still alive. Now, whatever this thing is, it seems like it was meant to send a message to Earth. Although it seems non-hostile, I still don't trust it.
This is the Pope Hammer, and it only comes out when it's believed that the Pope is no longer with us. And if you're starting to get nervous, you should be, because when the Pope Hammer comes out, it's head-knocking time. If it's believed that the Pope is no longer with us, they take the hammer and tap him on the forehead 3 times. Not hard enough to injure the Pope, but hard enough to make sure that he's not sleeping. If the Pope doesn't flinch with 3 hammer hits to the forehead, then a man will come out and yell the Pope's name 3 times at the top of his lungs. And if the Pope doesn't wake up from that, then it's official that he's no longer with us. Now, if you're thinking, don't we have medical advancements that let us know if a person's no longer with us? The answer is yes, and we've been using that medical equipment on the Pope for decades now. The Pope Hammer has become more of a traditional thing. However, the Pope Hammer is still used today for one actual purpose: to smash this thing into 1,000,000 pieces. This is called the fisherman's ring. Anytime the Pope makes a declaration or needs to sign a document, he seals it with his fisherman's ring. And if the Pope's actually on his way to go meet the Lord, we don't want the fisherman's ring getting into the wrong hands, having people make fake documents. So for now, the Pope Hammer is just to destroy the fisherman's ring.
Ever wondered what would actually happen if a supersonic Nerf dart hit a human head? At normal speeds, 41 to 61 miles per hour, these foam darts are completely harmless. Their lightweight design and soft tips disperse energy safely, making them perfect for play. But what if you modified a blaster to shoot darts faster than the speed of sound? At 1,100 feet per second, that innocent foam dart suddenly becomes a projectile with enough force to fracture thin bones, chip teeth, or even penetrate skin. The plastic tip turns into a dangerous penetrator and can shatter on impact, creating unpredictable shrapnel. And that's why if you...
Colombia just found the first piece of alien technology in history, and there's videos to prove it. You gotta see this story. This thing is being called the Buga Sphere. It was found in Colombia last month, and scientists have no idea how it was made. A glowing metallic sphere was caught on camera flying through the sky, descending silently, and then something insane happened. It didn't vanish, it didn't explode, it landed, and someone actually put their hands on it and picked it up. This isn't science fiction. This is real, and it might be the most convincing physical evidence of extraterrestrial technology we've ever had, if you can believe it. Videos started circulating of a floating metal orb glowing with shifting lights hovering low over the ground, no sound, no wings, no visible propulsion, and then it descended. I was gonna call it AI generated, but the way the orb moves and the length of the videos, technology just isn't there yet, so it has to be something else. One guy got so close he actually touched it. He says it was freezing cold, dense, and unlike anything he'd ever seen. At first it weighed about 4.5 pounds, but when taken to a lab it registered 22 pounds. That alone raised eyebrows. projectiles, it literally didn't change in size, but yet become 5 times heavier out of nowhere. But what scientists found next, that changed everything. The Boogosphere was analyzed by a private tech company specializing in electromagnetic detection equipment. What they discovered was impossible. The sphere had no visible seams, no welds, no way of opening it, nothing. But it featured a strange black belt, markings resembling unknown symbols, looking like a strange language that doesn't exist. In the middle, it had what might be a quantum chip embedded into its structure, and its surface, when exposed to fire, it doesn't heat up. They put a blowtorch on it and nothing. It didn't burn or get hot. When splashed with water, it evaporates the liquid instantly, but it stays completely cool. It just doesn't seem to make sense. How can you pour water on it and then it evaporates, but then you could just touch it and it's not hot? X-rays revealed internal mechanisms, real components, not random junk. This thing wasn't hollow. It was engineered, designed, built for some kind of purpose. And here's the thing, just before it was handed over to Mexican journalist Jaime Maussan for further study, the team in Colombia received bizarre messages, some polite, some threatening, and one reportedly from Russia offering a deal for the sphere. Then again, I heard Putin isn't easy to make deals with. That's when the decision was made to get it out of Colombia. With official clearance from local authorities, Maussan brought the sphere to Mexico, where it's now under secure analysis. Could it be alien tech, or just a surveillance probe, a UFO from another dimension? Or maybe I just been watching too much Joe Rogan. I don't know. You let me know in the comments what you think. Is it real or not? I'll see you tomorrow.
Damn, what do you guys think about that? I mean, I feel like it could be real, but at the same time, it could be fake. Like, there's so much, like, AI videos have taken over so much that you don't even really know what's what anymore. But if it is real, maybe those are the orbs that have been floating around the skies in Jersey and stuff.
So the Pentagon is bracing for a return of the Anunnaki. Yeah, the Anunnaki. Now, the only thing that makes sense to me as to why they will be waiting on the return of the Anunnaki is if they have had some type of contact with these beings. And if y'all have noticed that the Anunnaki, the lore behind the Anunnaki has gotten increasingly, like, there's been way more talk about them lately. And with all the things going on in the sky, all the talks about aliens, all of the weird things going on in the atmosphere, people seeing weird things, like with the thing in Israel, and remember the mall in Miami. And so they have been conditioning us to get ready for these Anunnaki to return as well. Now, those of you who have eyes to see and ears to hear, we know that whatever beings they are, whether you want to call them aliens, Anunnaki, demons, the fallen angels, the Nephilim spirits, the Nephilim itself, Satan and his army, whatever you want to call them, we know that it all is demonic. That's one thing that we know. Those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, do not fall into this whole, oh, these Anunnaki gods. And and you know there's going to be some people who comment on this video and say, oh my gosh, they're so real, they're gods, they're this, they're that. And they're going to paint these beings in a good light. They're going to paint these beings in a positive light. Do not fall for the deception. Remember, when and if these things appear, it will not be for the benefit of the world. It will be for the benefit of Satan, the ruler of this world, the lowercase g, God of this world. Do not be deceived. Remember, do not be deceived is mentioned several times over and over again, because as it pertains to the last days, there will be deception running rampant. Do not be deceived by this. Remember, Jesus is on the throne. It's all about God, and they're going to try to do everything to deceive you into believing that these beings are positive or good beings. They're not. Okay? And if I had to tell you, if I had to take a guess, it's either A, the fallen angels who have disguised themselves, or B, it is the offspring of the fallen angels and the women that created these beings, or even C, remember, they were kind of manipulating humanity and manipulating life as we know it. So it could be a creature mixed with a human, mixed with another thing. Whatever the case may be, it is all demonic. Do not play into the lore. Remember that Jesus is still on the throne, and he is Lord, and he is returned.
Some people think putting a metal grill in front of an airplane engine could protect it from bird strikes. But in reality, that's not possible. Jet engines are incredibly powerful. They suck in huge amounts of air at very high speeds. If you place a metal grill in front of the engine, it wouldn't hold up. The force of the air and the speed of the engine would either tear the grill apart or severely disrupt airflow, causing serious problems for the engine itself.
Rumors are circulating that there's a group of Pentagon officials who believe that the UFOs are the Anunnaki returning. Now at this point, they're just rumors, but before you completely dismiss it, let's actually think about this because it kind of tracks. The story of the Anunnaki is as old as ancient Sumeria, and they apparently came here to mine gold to help fix their atmosphere. What's so crazy to me is this story, what they proposed, would actually work to repair the atmosphere to block out harmful UV radiation. How would they have known this thousands of years ago? The idea was to come here, mine gold, bring it back to their planet, pulverize it, and disperse it throughout the atmosphere to reflect the harmful sunlight back. Conditions for mining on this planet were harsh, and so they genetically modified the primates that were already here to create us. That's the story, at least. Mixing primate DNA with Anunnaki DNA. If this UFO situation is the Anunnaki returning, after all this time, it could explain why there is apparently a spiritual aspect of all this UFO stuff.
Congress just got told that the US is in possession of at least 4 types of non-human species at an event sponsored by the House Oversight Committee, and I happen to have one of the only copies of 4K footage from that event. How did this happen? There was a panel on understanding UAP, science, national security, and innovation. And towards the end of the science panel, Representative Eric Burleson asked this question to astrophysicist Eric Davis. Let's roll the clip.
And do you have, or can you comment on whatever species have been piloting these craft? How are they large? Are they multiple species? Are they what was their size, and how many are usually on a craft?
They're typically the multiple species people are familiar with, the Greys, the Nordics. People have talked about reptilians and insectoids. It's not that they're reptilian or insectoid, it's that they resemble to the Pacific a reptile or insect type, humanoid, because they have a head and 4 limbs and torso. So
large, small,
human size, human scale.
And are there how many are a crew?
Well, the Greys I'm familiar with from investigating the crash at Corona, which is misnamed the crash of Roswell. It's not the crash of Roswell; it's the crash of Corona in Mexico. Those were Greys; those are 4 foot tall, and the Nordics are typically human size, probably I've heard 5-6 feet tall. And same with the people who mislabel reptilian and insectoid, they're roughly at that height too. I haven't heard anything about anything 7 or 8 feet or 9 foot tall. Interesting. Of that nature.
So, dinner-ish. Folks, what we're going to do here for time, we're going to down at the wrong job.
Okay, so if you want to watch the full almost 4-hour event, you can watch it over at the UAP Disclosure Fund's YouTube channel. It's also broken down by panel between science, national security, and innovation. This panel was between Dr. Eric Davis, Dr. Avi Loeb from Harvard, and Rear Admiral Timothy Gallaudet for the science portion. So, who is Dr. Eric Davis? For those of you who are in the UFO community, he's been a very well-known astrophysicist and breakthrough propulsion physicist who's been associated with several of the now publicly understood UAP study programs, such as the Advanced Aerospace Weapons Systems Applications Program, AAWSAP, as well as the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, ATIP. Now, for many folks, Eric Davis's name became most widely known when the so-called Wilson Davis notes leaked online, and the Wilson Davis notes contained notes that were of a meeting between astrophysicist Eric Davis and Admiral Thomas Wilson outside the EG&G parking lot in October of 2002. And the context of the memo was Eric Davis was looking for this alleged UFO crash retrieval and reverse engineering program and was connected with Wilson, who explained to Davis the struggles that he had trying to get access to it, even as someone who, at the time, should have been granted access, but ultimately was able to find the program manager and locate the program, but was subsequently still denied full access. That Wilson Davis memo became a part of sort of more mainstream popular culture as a result of the UFO hearing in the House Intelligence Committee that was chaired by Representative Mike Gallagher in 2022, in May of 2022. At that hearing, Representative Gallagher asked the Pentagon officials who were testifying if they were familiar with this memo. Both of them denied any knowledge of it, and subsequently, Representative Gallagher had those notes added to the congressional record.
And then finally, are you aware of a document that appeared around 2019, sometimes called the Admiral Wilson Memo or EW Notes Memo?
I am not.
You're not.
I'm not personally aware of that.
Okay. This is a document in which, again, I'm not commenting on the veracity. I was hoping you would help me with that, in which a former head of DIA claims to have had a conversation with the Dr. Eric Wilson and claims to have sort of been made aware of certain contractors or DoD programs that he tried to get fuller access to and was denied access to. So you're not aware of that?
I'm not aware, Congressman.
In my 10 seconds remaining, then, I guess I just would ask, Mr. Chairman, unanimous consent to enter that memo into the record.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
So you can go to congress.gov and read the entirety of those notes at your leisure. Now, since that House Intelligence Committee UFO hearing in 2022, there have been several attempts to get Eric Davis both into Congress and or on the record to confirm that he was in fact the author of the quote-unquote Wilson Davis memo. And it should be noted that the way in which it became public was not because it came from Eric Davis directly, but Apollo astronaut Edgar Mitchell, upon his passing, had an estate with a variety of documents in it. And one of the family members found this copy of the Wilson Davis memo and understood its value and subsequently put it online, which has now been confirmed by Eric Davis at this Understanding UAP panel, where he was asked by Representative Eric Burleson about what type of species or pilots have been recovered. And if you recall, one of the reasons why Representative Burleson is asking this question is because he just recently hired UFO whistleblower David Grush onto his personal staff as a member of the Task Force on the Declassification of Federal Secrets. So David Grush is now working with Representative Burleson. He just recently got his clearance reinstated, and we're actually expecting to see David Grush go into a SCIF, a sensitive compartmented information facility, next week, potentially alongside other folks, to be able to provide more details about what David Grush testified to under oath in the July 2023 UFO hearing with the House Oversight Committee, where he spoke to the possession of non-human biologics by the U.S. government.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
At this event, which was not under oath testimony from Eric Davis, he is now repeating and basically confirming the story that David Grush told at his hearing in July of 2023. And it should be noted that the chairwoman of the Federal Declassification Task Force, Representative Anna Paulina Luna, did mention at this event that she will be bringing Eric Davis back to provide his testimony under oath.
Excellent. Thank you very much, sir. Next question is going to go
If I can real quick.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so thank you for you guys coming today. I have to get going, but I am charging Burleson and Burchett to be here and continue on while I am not here. But I will say that, I mean, the stuff that you guys have all told us today, mind-blowing. And I think, going on record is even more important. So we are going to invite you back to also testify at some point. But I do have to head out. So thank you so much for your time setting this up, and we'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you. So the key question we're going to be looking for is seeing when that next UFO hearing is going to be. And if they do call Eric Davis to testify, finally, after years of people demanding he get on the record, which would then put the likes of David Grush, Lou Elizondo, as well as Eric Davis, all having under oath testimony about their experiences and exposure to the US government's alleged UFO crash retrieval and reverse engineering programs.
Feel sleepy after eating? That's not a nap invitation. Lying down right after a meal can cause acid reflux, slow digestion, and even mess with your metabolism. Your stomach wanted to work, not get horizontal. Follow for more brain-boosting facts.
This is a true story. 5 divers were pulled into a pipeline by powerful pressure. The force dragged them in with all their gear. Luckily, they ended up in a section with a bit of oxygen left, but 2 of them had broken bones, and the others were scraped up. They were trapped in complete darkness, surrounded by a toxic mix of oil and seawater. It felt hopeless. Then, one of them suggested they move forward instead of waiting to die. Despite the pain and exhaustion, they began crawling slowly. After an hour, Chris, who was leading, noticed the water level rising. The only way out was to dive, but they had no equipment, and 2 of them were injured. It was a huge risk. Chris made a bold choice. He would dive alone and promised to come back if he made it through. He took a deep breath and plunged into the water. After what felt like forever, he found an air pocket and caught his breath. But the pipeline ahead was almost completely underwater. With no other choice, he dived again. Just as he was about to pass out, his hand hit something, an oxygen tank. Fueled by hope, he kept moving, even as his oxygen ran low. Miraculously, he found another tank along the way. Battling exhaustion and the stench of oil, he swam on. After what felt like hours, he reached a bend. Using every last bit of strength, he swam upward and broke the surface. Gasping for air, he shouted for help. Over 2 hours had passed since they were trapped. His colleagues on the ship realized something was wrong and rescued him just before he collapsed. In the hospital, Chris explained everything, but then he learned the horrible truth. The oil company refused to launch a rescue because it was too expensive. Although a search team heard tapping signals from the trapped divers, the company abandoned them. 5 days later, the divers were declared dead. Autopsies revealed they survived for 4 days before losing oxygen. What could have been a heroic rescue turned into a tragic story of corporate greed. Chris tried to sue, but the trial was endlessly delayed.
Kawasaki has just released the first look at their new hydrogen-powered horse. A robot horse. It's named Core Leo, and it was unveiled yesterday at the 2025 Osaka Kansai Expo. And while still only just a concept, the design of this thing is pretty insane. I mean, as their promo video shows, it's kind of the piece that you'd bring to run across a mountain on if you got brain rot, but you still want to hike. And forget handlebars, Core Leo moves purely based on vibes. I guess kind of like a real horse, it responds based on the human's body movements. So lean left, it moves left. Lean right, it steps right. But unlike a real horse, you've got a futuristic heads-up display giving you the full rundown on hydrogen fuel, directions to wherever you're trotting, and its rubber hooves give it enhanced grip and stability on both hard and soft terrains. Oh, and because it will be powered by a 150cc hydrogen-powered engine, it will be completely environmentally friendly. So the question is, does the world need a robot horse or not?
I 100%, if it's not like crazy expensive, would get one of those. Those look so cool. Like,
tried to wash his blackness off his skin, thinking it was ink. You see, Yasuke came to Japan from Africa and stood over 6 feet tall, so people looked at him like he was an alien. But Warlord Oda Nobunaga saw a warrior in him, so he made him a samurai.
You've never in your life ever experienced a real fear until you've seen this in the middle of the night. And I don't know why nobody speaks about this, because the first time this ever happened to me, I thought I was dying. If you're wondering what the hell this is, your phone does this sometimes in the middle of the night randomly, and I think it's because your phone is on standby mode or some weird shit like that. It usually happens when your phone is sideways as well. Don't know how to explain it, but this sometimes happens, rarely though, in the middle of the night. And bro, it is terrifying because you're half asleep, you wake up, check your phone, and all you see is black and red, bro. You think your time has come. And the thing is, I don't even know if I'm the only person who's experienced it. I want to know if anybody else has seen this in the middle of the night, because I can't be the only one. And does anybody on here actually know what the purpose of this is, bro? Because that is not something you want to see in the middle of the night. Those two colors, hand in hand, bro. When you wake up, first thing in the middle of the night, whether you need to go toilet, whatever it is, as soon as you look at that, bro, you think the angel of death has come to take your soul. But yeah, comment down below if you guys have ever experienced this, because that shit is scary, man.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple times, and I always thought to myself, like, why do they need to do that? But it never, like, really alarmed me too much, because one, it wasn't at the night, and two, it was kind of just like, let me know if you guys have ever experienced that in the comments.
LSD, magic mushrooms, DMT, these are all known as serotonergic psychedelics, which sounds a little bit complex, so I'm going to break down exactly what it means. So serotonin is a neurotransmitter. It's like a chemical messenger in the brain that's used to communicate between cells. It's usually associated with mood. So for example, SSRIs, which are a type of medication that affect the serotonin levels in your brain, are often used to treat depression. But it has a much more complex role, so it's involved in things like brain development, how we perceive things, and even how we think. So serotonin works a bit like a key, which fits into a specific shaped lock, which is known as a receptor, and these can be found on the surface of a brain cell or a neuron. There are over 14 different types of serotonin receptors, which makes it a very complex system in the brain. The serotonergic psychedelics, like LSD and magic mushrooms, look structurally very, very similar to the serotonin that we produce in our body. And because they look so similar, they can actually fit into these serotonin receptors, but they act like imposter keys. So even though they bind, they trigger slightly different pathways down the line. But the most well-known serotonin receptor in the context of psychedelics is the serotonin 2A receptor. These receptors are found in a very high density in the part of the brain called the cortex, where brain areas that are more responsible for higher order thinking and more complex behaviors are found. And the lowest number of these receptors are found in the brain regions to do with motor control, which might explain the obvious effects on things like cognition and perception, but not so much on motor control. This receptor is so important in the psychedelic experience that if you were to block the psychedelic from binding to the 2A receptor, then the psychedelic experience just wouldn't take place. The activation of the 2A receptor is also linked to something called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is what makes your brain temporarily more adaptable and flexible. It basically creates a window where your brain is very malleable. With the right support and in the right setting, it can help people unlearn unhelpful thought patterns and behaviors. But if it's done in an environment that isn't safe and supportive, it can have very damaging effects. Psychedelics seem to change the brain's usual way of communicating. The flexibility caused by psychedelics is one of the reasons why researchers are so interested in it. A quick but very important safety note about psychedelics and serotonin: if you mix psychedelics with other drugs that are known to increase levels of serotonin, like some antidepressants and MDMA, it increases the risk of something called serotonin syndrome, which can be very dangerous. If you have any more questions about serotonin and psychedelics, let me know in the comments below and I'll try my best to answer them. If you enjoyed this video, then please like it, and if you'd like weekly psychedelic videos, then please follow our page.
This is the problem with the world. Why the hell are men shaving off their eyelashes right now? Videos have been going viral of guys using electric razors, scissors, or even getting their barbers to cut off their eyelashes. And I'm not gonna lie, it is painful to watch. The claim is that men are doing this as part of a trend to look more masculine, because having long dark eyelashes has been associated with femininity for centuries. But here is the crazy part. Not only is there little to no evidence that this is an actual trend, but the way that it is being twisted is genuinely shocking. CNN wrote a 1,300 word article on the subject, but only 250 words were actually about the trend, and the other 1,000 plus words was talking about the rise of masculine energy and dropping names like Andrew Tate. BuzzFeed's article was titled "As if masculinity couldn't be more fragile right now," and Vice called them insecure men. Online, things were even worse. Comments read, "How pathetically insecure do you have to be in order to shave your own eyelashes in an effort to prove your masculinity? This is the height of toxic masculinity." Point is, go look yourself. There is only a handful of TikToks posted not by the men themselves, but by other accounts making the masculine claim. And not only that, but there's also a way older trend where some women would be shaving off their eyelashes in order for them to grow back faster and thicker. So for all we know, these men ironically might be trying to get longer eyelashes. On ITV's video on the subject, one of the top comments was, "Barber here, I can confirm this is not happening, nor is it a trend." Yet we have some of the biggest publications in the world using these few videos as an opportunity to criticize men and masculinity in general. And these are the same people and media outlets that often push for body positivity and champion freedom of expression. But what they didn't include in their 1,000 words is the genuine crisis that young men are facing right now. The number of 18 to 30-year-old male virgins has doubled in the past 10 years. In the last 5 years alone, the number of males aged 16 to 24 who are unemployed and not in education has increased by a staggering 40%. 8%, while females of the same age only 7%. And for those young men who are in work, that gender pay gap, which you hear about all the time, has reversed. For the first time, young men are now out-earned by their female peers, including among the university educated. So there's no denying that young men are struggling with something right now. But I don't think it's the eyelashes. And being labeled pathetically insecure for a trend that doesn't even exist isn't helping. So if you've watched to the end, you now understand who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I haven't really seen that trend. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I scroll, but I don't really scroll like that. Like, I haven't really seen that trend. So I don't know if it's a trend specifically, but I'll tell you this. I would never cut my eyelashes for anybody. Like, look at my eyelashes. You know what I'm saying? Like, W eyelashes. But honestly, we got deeper problems to be worrying about compared to just cutting your eyelashes. So I don't even know what they're talking about. If you guys like this video, YouTube said that you will like this one. So make sure to check it out.